the glove. If one of you goes down, the other go to the furthest neutral corner. Break when I tell you to. Defend yourself at all times. Shake hands, boys. Shake them. Come on. Good luck.
Dave Paris was also the referee when Dixon fought Roach. 5 knockdowns in that fight. Roach down twice. Dixon here 3 times. Dixon ending with suspected broken ribs on that occasion. A reporter from Boxing News, the trade paper, thought Dixon had won the fight, but Dave Paris, crucially, didn't. Dixon, the Scot, in the blue trunks here. The New Zealander Sean Sullivan in black. Sullivan with the reputation of being gritty, aggressive, battle-hardened, and only ever stopped on one occasion, and that was back in 1993, 7 long years ago. Dixon tonight will have to use his boxing skills and maybe mix it a little less than he did with Derek Roach when he got drawn into some fierce exchanges, which were great for the crowd.
Well, Dixon is more boxer than puncher, so you'd expect him to have a good look at Sullivan. Use his boxing ability to get into the fight and warm up a little before he starts mixing it.
Well, one thing we know about Scott Dixon, having heard about his training regime, is that he's certainly not underprepared for this. Sullivan, though, vastly experienced and went the distance, the full 12 rounds, with the golden boy of Australian boxing, Julian Holland, in a fight which was voted Aussie Fight of the Year. Split decision, that was. That's good form. Interesting to see just how much Sullivan has. Good little left hook there from Dixon close in, but Sullivan a shade busier in this opening round.
Well, he's thrown the punches, he's thrown the jab, doubling and trebling up, but it's all falling short from Sullivan, so he's not really connecting with anything as yet.
Again, out of reach with his jab, Sullivan. Good mobility from Scott Dixon. Hitting a lot of fresh air with his shot, Sullivan, in this opening round, certainly throwing loads.
Well, just wasting energy, Sullivan. Better work from Dixon.
Green, vacant Commonwealth welterweight title on the line. Scott Dixon here, who works full-time as manager and a personal fitness guru at the Peacock Gym at Canning Town, just down the road from here.
And the better work, I thought, in the first round was from Dixon. He didn't do as much, but what he did was more accurate and connected more.
Here's the second round. Black trunks of Sean Sullivan of New Zealand, who's managed by a comedian, Phil Kingsley Jones. Let's hope he's a stand-up comedian. Sullivan trying to deliver the punchlines here. Bit of a phony war so far, Glenn.
Yes, there is. I'd like to see Sullivan just do, Dixon do a bit more, just start asserting himself more, getting that jab working. You know, he's just allowing Sullivan to get a bit of confidence, even though Sullivan's not really hitting much other than fresh air. He's starting to come forward and grow in confidence.
Not managing to get in range from any of his shots, though, Sullivan. Looks like he wants to, wants to draw Dixon into an argument. Dixon looks as if he wants to say super cool and composed this time. Very light on his feet. That's good work, doubling up on the jab from Dixon. New Zealand haven't had a Commonwealth champion since Monty Beetham, who reigned at middleweight between 1975 and 78, though they've had some good fighters in the interim. People like Jimmy Thunder, the heavyweight, and currently David Tua, right up there at the top of the world rankings, and could be fighting Lennox Lewis here in the summer. Good body shots twice going in from Sullivan, and twice more as well.
It's a little better from him in this round. Now he's getting close and he's starting to work. And really Dixon needs to start using his jab and throwing some punches.
Just not doing enough for me early on, Scott Dixon. A little bow even from Dixon to referee Dave Paris about the low blow warning. Just doesn't look to have the speed to get there and nail Dixon, but Dixon pretty negative early on.
Well, I do think Sullivan's done more in this round. Dixon has done next to nothing.
Turner with Grant Tullett in the corner for Sean Sullivan. I've given him both the rounds so far. I know you disagree about the first, Glenn.
I did. I just thought he missed too much in the first round to give him that, and I thought Dixon had some sharper punches, but he was just so negative in the second. Sullivan doing better work there to the body and pushing Dixon around, and Dixon really needs to start doing something.
Third round. Disappointing so far, Scott Dixon, but it is early. This Commonwealth Welterweight Championship vacated by Kofi Jantua, who is in search of bigger things, the Ghanaian. Sullivan in the black trunks, the New Zealander, colours you'd expect him to wear, I guess. Sullivan has been New Zealand champion at both welterweight and light middle. In fact, his last few fights have been at light middle, so it must have been a bit of a struggle for him to get down to welter. Might that be a factor later on? We'll see. Getting a little closer, Sullivan.
Well, I always thought that, you know, if you're fighting somebody who's made a long journey, it was always better, you know, to establish yourself right from the start that you're the boss, you know, and just get their mind on the defensive straight away. And this is something that Dixon hasn't done. You know, he's starting to, you know, he's let Sullivan get up early and get in the fight, start to get motivated, and he'll start to get his punches going.
Well, Sullivan's the one who's been trying to make the fight right the way through so far. It's been a pretty cautious exercise by Dixon, trying to concentrate on the boxing skills. But some might say, having watched the Roach fight, he looked a bit better mixing it.
Well, in close, he's trying to tie Sullivan up and not work. Just try and keep it long range. But long range, he needs to do a lot more, Dixon.
Trying to measure Sullivan for size with the jab, but not really throwing any punch to speak of. That's better with the jab from Dixon.
Ian, we talked about whether the fight with Roach would take a lot, you know, what it would take out of him, such a tough fight. And, you know, judging by what he'd said and, you know, the way he was talking this fight up, it hadn't took anything out of it. But just looking at it now, at this point, You know, he just looks a little gun shy, I was going to say.
There's a big right hand, though, from Dixon, and that just wobbled Sullivan a little. Certainly caught him off balance at the very least. Best shot of the contest from either of them so far, from Dixon. Now that might lift him.
I was going to say gun shy, but then he hit right on time to prove me wrong.
Punch landed by Scott Dixon, the best punch of the fight so far towards the end of that third round. Here it comes.
Yes, he just seemed to take Sullivan by surprise. Sullivan just that lazy jab going out, and then a good right hand counter, which really knocked Sullivan back.
Round 4.
Coming up to the fourth round in this fight for the vacant Commonwealth welterweight championship. The welterweight division in Britain at the moment just lacking a little of the charisma it had in the days of Lloyd Hannigan and Gary Jacobs, John H. Stracey, Dave Boy Green, people like that. Could do with a bright young star to come through, really. Dixon's work so far, sporadic, to put it kindly. And again, he catches Sullivan, first with a right and then a left.
Well, that's better. When he starts meaning to throw punches, he shows that he can, Dixon. And, you know, I just really think he should start letting the shots go. You know, see what Sullivan has got.
Sullivan has won his last 7. Very busy last year with 6 fights. Good right hand again from Dixon, who's just beginning to warm up a little. We hope.
But Sullivan's reactions are quite slow, and you know there's gaps there for Dixon to hit him, but he needs to start putting his punches together a little more.
Yes, he does look a gritty kind of customer and quite competent, but to be honest with you, he doesn't look anything like a top world-class operator, does he, Sean Sullivan? He's again hurt by the right hand then, and Dixon now beginning to let the punches and the leather fly a little more now. He gets angry when people say he's a light hitter, Scott Dixon. He's only got 3 knockouts on his record, but it says everybody he's punched, he's hurt or floored. His words.
Well, Sullivan is quite stiff and a robotic type style. Hasn't got the natural fluidity or good movement in his boxing.
It does look like Dixon is the one who carries the greater power here, doesn't it, from what we've seen so far? So twice he's just sent Sullivan reeling back a couple of paces with his punches.
Well, this has been a better round for Dixon. Suddenly starting to do a little bit more work himself.
Good little right uppercut on the inside there. This is busier from Scott Dixon. It's a very slow start from him, but I think he won that round all right. Let's have a look at the welterweight picture in Britain at the moment. Jeff McCreesh, the former British champion, is hoping to get a world title chance. It seems to be sometime never for that, quite honestly. Derek Roach, number 2 there, the current British champion. Scott Dixon in the ring here at 3. Then you've got Neil Sinclair, the Irishman, Spencer McCracken, Darren Bruce, who we've already seen in good form tonight there at number 6, and so on down the list.
Well, it was better in the last round from Dixon, just starting to let his shots go, growing confidence a little more. And there's a decent right hand.
10 seconds.
Just like to see him do a little bit more, try and rough Sullivan up and let him know, what Dixon's got.
Here's the 5th round then. Blue trunks of the Scott Dixon. He's only 23, Sullivan 31. a youth worker back in New Zealand. He helps the police teaching disadvantaged youngsters. Sullivan occasionally effective to the body. I think the one thing you've got to say is Scott Dixon definitely deserves this chance after his heroics against Derek Roach in defeat.
Yes, he does deserve the chance, and you know, it's a good opportunity for him to make the most and get himself, you know, back into the picture with the likes of Roach again.
And make some good money, hopefully, from this particular title. Doing the most effective work at the moment, Dixon. He didn't really look as if he was at the races in the first 3 rounds.
This is bringing that right hand more into play. Dixon, that's a good punch from him.
Fight's warmed up now. 2 body shots getting in, and gum shield has come out from one of the fighters. Can't see which. Dave Parris has got hold of that and will wait for a lull before allowing it to be put in. I think it's Dixon's.
But Sullivan's shown himself to be quite tough and rugged, and you know, he's going to make Dixon work for this.
Now we have that lull, and the gum shield will be rinsed off and put back in. What do you think of Dixon's haircut, by the way?
Well, I don't think I'd shoot it. You might shoot one a bit like that, I think.
Sure. I think the barber won the argument, didn't he? This little left uppercut, and then a right cross is a good shot too from Sullivan. Much better exchanges now. I think they've both completed their reconnaissance missions. Switched to southpaw momentarily there, Sullivan.
Sullivan having some success to the body, still trying to work around the arms and get some good shots in there.
This could be quite hard and grueling as it goes on. And Sullivan's been the full 12 rounds 6 times in his career.
Looking ahead to Sunday and 4 live matches for you. Sky Sports 2 midday, Darlington, Peterborough. Then it's over to Sky Sports 1 from 3 for Wimbledon against Everton. Both matches live also and interactive only on Sky Sports Extra. Sky Sports 3 from 5:30, Hibs against Rangers. And for Sky Digital viewers on Sky Sports Extra, 6:30, Deportivo Real Madrid.
And here at the atmospheric York Hall at Bethnal Green in East London, Scott Dixon in the blue trunks, looking to win the Commonwealth Welterweight Championship for Scotland. The black trunks of New Zealand's Sean Sullivan. And this is boiled up quite nicely over the last couple of rounds. Dixon looking better now than he did early on.
Well, I've just got Dixon 1 point ahead at this point, but Sullivan still, you know, he's trying to pick up the pace. It's going to be, you know, a good work rate he's setting. Dixon's going to have to work hard to keep him off.
I had it dead level after 5. All the time, Sullivan concentrating on the ample body target of the tall Dixon, looking to slow him. Decent strategy. Will it pay? Good jolting jabs from Dixon. Dixon, who started a big favourite with the bookmakers, those who put down odds for this fight this morning. Heavy odds on.
Well, he has got a much better jab at Dixon, and that's something he's got to use to keep Sullivan off balance. And now he's managing to push Sullivan back, which is something of a breakthrough. I think Sullivan's better on the front foot.
Dixon dominant with the jab in this round, and all the time Sullivan rather walking onto it. Has Dixon taken his measure? Right hand as well, mixed in.
Well, the hands are starting to come down a little of Sullivan. That'll leave the chin exposed. Dixon's got to start bringing those straight right hand into play.
You'd have to say at this stage, and it would be a tough call, Dixon is looking the likely winner. Can he keep it going, and will the body attack that Sullivan is trying to mount take its toll later on? That's a big right hand from Dixon, and again that just seemed to shake Sullivan. I think he might be a better puncher than his record suggests, this Scott Dixon. He seems to have improved power.
And another big right hand, getting the timing right from that.
That was Dixon's best round for me. Did that well.
He did do it well, and it all came from the jab. He started to really get that going, nice, solid, rocking the head back, putting Sullivan on the back foot, and then the hands start coming down, and the gaps start opening up for Dixon to bring that right hand in. There's the jab. That was a key in the 6 rounds, just putting Sullivan on the back foot.
Oh, they're trying to lift him. They got here on Tuesday, the Sullivan camp. Now, I've made that journey by air, New Zealand to London, and I reckon you need about 3 weeks to get over it.
It's a long, long way. That's why I was hoping Dixon would start faster, because that's, a journey like that takes an awful lot out of somebody.
It really does. It's goodness knows how, 30-odd hours in the air, maybe a bit more with the stopovers. Here's the 7th round. Scott Dixon beginning to take charge here. A more technical approach from him tonight than against Derek Roach. He's from Hamilton. I suppose you could call it the sort of Hamilton academical approach.
No comments.
You could. Good jabs again from Dixon. Still Sullivan all the time looking to dig in punches to the ribs if he can get close enough to do it. And an interesting little tactical battle in play here, because all the time Dixon can keep him on the end of that jab, Sullivan won't be able to get close enough to land those body shots. There it is again. Well, he realizes, I think, Scott Dixon, that the jab is the key now. There's a cut now underneath the left eye of Scott Dixon, a blemish on the cheekbone. I think he might be a bit tight at the weight, Sullivan.
Yeah, he could be. I mean, he's quite a big frame, isn't it?
Well, he's been fighting as a light middle too in 1 or 2 recent fights.
Well, that and the travel, you think it's in a hard fight he'd be feeling the effects.
He's looking a bit wild as well, Sullivan now. Wild and tiring, I would suggest.
And this is where Dixon really got to start putting through this good jab, keeping Sullivan off balance.
Don't look very fresh, the legs of Sullivan, do they, at this stage?
They've gone very heavy, you know. You can tell when a fighter starts as if grasping for the canvas, you know, the legs get heavy, the movement's not that good. Obviously, you know, he's starting to feel the pace.
Walks into another jab for his trouble. And again, this is becoming a dispiriting experience for Sean Sullivan. These are sickening punches, really, to keep on having to eat that jab time after time after time. Every time you try to come forward. There's another right, and it's another big round for Dixon, who's right in control now. Doing some work on the little cut under the left eye of Scott Dixon.
Yes, better work from Dixon. The jab he's brought into place strongly, and that's, you know, keeping Sullivan off balance, and that's a good punch. Sullivan really starting to tire in the last round.
So here's the 8th round. Scott Dixon, blue trunks. This fight at the moment is falling away from Sean Sullivan after he'd started quite busily without ever looking in any kind of control of things. Maybe he picked up some of the earlier rounds, but Scott Dixon working brilliantly behind the jab in the last 2 or 3 rounds seems to have got a hold on things. Just looking a bit laboured and predictable, Sullivan, one-paced.
Well, Dixon using the ring a little bit more now. But I think he's just got to keep the centre of the ring, use that jab, dominate from there.
It's good mobility, this, from Scott Dixon. There's no questioning his strategy. This is the right one, you'd feel. Now, can Sullivan get in close enough to start bustling him up? He's somehow got to break Dixon's rhythm. Easy for me to say, sitting here, much harder for him to do the way this is going. The cut looks a bit angry under the left eye of Dixon now.
We're getting to the stage in the fight where it starts to get pretty hard. Sullivan gaming up, still trying to come forward, take the fight to Dixon, but Dixon the better technician.
But you're right what you said at the start. At the moment, it looks like he could do with Jonah Lomu in there with him.
Yeah, it's getting hard for Sean Sullivan. You said he's come a long way. Took a lot out of him, also trying to get down from light middle. But he's certainly game and tough, and you know, that's what we knew about him. We knew he'd come here with a lot of pride.
Being lanced with that jab for the umpteenth time, though. Well, Sullivan lifts his hands to the crowd. He thought he might have won that round. What did you think, Glenn?
Well, he was trying hard, but I didn't think so. I thought that was Scott Dixon's round. Just the better work with the jab, cleaner, solider, much more accurate, and the stats tell that.
Yes, I thought it was Dixon's round as well. Very good success, particularly with that left lead. He's trained by Martin Bowers. And when he's down working at the Peacock Gym, he has a house down near the London City Airport, Scott Dixon. Boxed for Scotland several times as an amateur. Won his first trophy when he was only 7 years of age. His granddad, Toby, was a good fighter in the amateurs back in the 1940s.
Well, that's how I had it, just starting to pull away, getting into a good lead now. Scott Dixon 4 points clear on my card.
And this is the 9th round. I've got Dixon clear by 3, so there's a general consensus between Glenn and I here at ringside. Only Dave Parris's scorecard will count. Don't have 3 judges yet for Commonwealth Championship fights. Maybe next century.
Well, we said it before, it's time we got in line, I think, with the rest of the world.
Yes, that's well overdue. Well, Dixon has been the 12-round route before. We know how well he's prepared. We know he does have stamina, so he shouldn't really have a problem in the later rounds on that score anyway. It's just a question of whether Sullivan can somehow ask some more serious questions, and he's managed to do so far. New Zealand's long wait for a Commonwealth champion might go on the way this is going just at the moment.
Well, he's got quite a lot of miles on the clock, Sean Sullivan. You know, he busy last year, maybe starting to take its toll.
It's a confident look about Dixon now. Looks a different fighter than the one we saw in the first 2 or 3 rounds when he looked very negative and did next to nothing. I was worried at that point for him. It's good left hand work though by Sullivan. It's not quite finished yet. This is a proud fighter who's going to spit out some defiance, you feel.
Well, Dixon really just needs to keep jarring out that solid left jab, and then starting to try and bring a few, I'd like to see him bring a few more combinations into it. A lot of single punches from Dixon.
Yeah, just improve the repertoire a little, maybe. His mobility is very good. Now that's better. 3-punch combination from Dixon. Sullivan, who came here with this phrase that we were all given in the media handouts, is fit as a buck rat. What's a buck rat?
I have no idea. They don't have them around Stanley, I don't think.
Pretty fit anyway. This division dominated at the moment by Felix Trinidad and Oscar De La Hoya worldwide. Trinidad with that contentious decision over De La Hoya with the WBC and IBF titles. Ahmet Kotiev, who you might have caught on Sky at the back end of last year, fighting from Germany, holding the WBO championship. James Page, a Don King fighter with the WBA version of the title. Seen him, he's not in anything like the class of Trinidad or De La Hoya.
And you're not going to let anybody forget that was a contentious decision today.
Well, I don't think anyone else. I'm not alone with that. I think De La Hoya won the fight, and I'm never going to bite from that opinion.
Round 10.
Glenn and I have had a million arguments about that fight off air, I can tell you.
It still rages on.
Yeah, we'll bore people stupid for another few years yet on that one. Here's the 10th round. So this could be a very proud night for Scott Dixon if he can keep this going. An ample compensation after that agonizingly narrow defeat against Derek Roach when he went for the British welterweight title. Tell you what, they wouldn't have any trouble selling tickets for a rematch between him and Roach, would they?
They wouldn't, but it's been a very different Scott Dixon on this occasion. He's had a game plan here. He's stuck to it. He's used his boxing skills, and you know, the jab has really been the key for him in this fight. Nothing reckless, you know, just stuck to what he does best.
Which begs the question, if he'd used these tactics against Roach, would he have won the title that night? Just looking a little dispirited, maybe, Sullivan. He's kept on trying and kept on working the best way he knows how. But it does look as if strategically Dixon has just taken his measure. It's nothing too emphatic, but it's quite clear who is outboxing who, isn't it?
Yes, he's the boss. He looks the boss in there. He's getting his punches off better, stronger, and doing more now.
Arm punches really coming out from Sullivan. Sullivan, who's had about as many fights as Mike Tyson. And probably a lot more rounds as well. Dixon growing in confidence. He's got one or two blemishes around the face, but they're unlikely to develop into anything very threatening for him. This jolting left hook from him.
Still pretty light on his feet, Dixon. Down to all that road work and all them hours of skipping and hard work in the gym.
It's been a very useful performance from him here. And he's pulling away. I'd go so far as to suggest already that Sullivan now needs a stoppage or knockout to win this with only a couple of rounds left. Now Dixon has been in 3 scheduled 12-rounders, Sullivan in 12. How many times have they had to complete the 12 rounds? Dixon twice, Sullivan on 6 occasions. Stamina, not really a question for either fighter, is the moral of that particular story.
Yep, there is Roach. Got that big win against Dixon.
Body shots landed by Sullivan. 74-18 in his favor, but headshots, Dixon with the jab, utterly dominant. 11th round. Blue trunks, remember, of Scott Dixon with the peacock emblazoned on the back of his shorts there. Proud of his roots in that particular gym. He's a personal fitness trainer. He might get a few more clients on the back of this, mightn't he?
He certainly will. He worked very hard in the gym. But I think it's just been a better performance, more polished. You know, he's used that jab. He's thought about this fight more.
It does look here as though the Commonwealth Welterweight Championship is going to Scotland. And Scottish boxing hasn't had an awful lot to shout about in recent times. Super Scott shaven into his hair at the back. Dixon moving confidently. It does look as though there's very little Sullivan has to change this.
As Dixon appears to well have the measure of Sullivan. I wouldn't think Sullivan had the stamina left for a really big finish. He's put a lot into this fight.
He really does look super fit, doesn't he, Dixon? almost balletic in his movements around the ring, on the balls of his feet. Still the odd body shot getting home from Sullivan, who's used that ploy all the way through in the hope that somehow he could slow Dixon down. But has it worked? No. Although Dixon there just leaving himself a little open, no head movement from him. That might encourage Sullivan. I think one of those punches just shook him a little, and he just seemed leaden for a moment, Dixon. Did he lose concentration? Maybe.
Yeah, he just seemed to hit a little bit of a wall there, didn't he, where it just, you know, mental block, nothing happening, he got caught.
Oh, and he's caught again by a right hand. Now there are real alarm bells ringing. Just when he seemed to be coasting home, Dixon is in a spot of bother here. Drama in the 11th. And he needed that bell. He needed that bell. Scott Dixon there. And they'll need the minute to freshen him up again. This is not over yet, even though Dixon has a big lead on our scorecards.
Well, he suddenly just hit a wall, didn't he? He just came to a halt, stood still, and he was caught with a good right hand. Well, Sullivan seized the opportunity quickly, tried to get through with more, and all of a sudden Dixon, from a big winner, was in trouble.
There, look at him there. He was definitely shaken up by that one. The eyes went swimming.
And well shaken there, almost hit the floor, the legs dipped. Good right hand, right on the chin. And he almost went down there, Scott Dixon.
They are screaming at Sullivan in his corner, urging him to one last effort, and probably telling him, look, the guy in the other corner is looking very, very tired, and you've really got him going. Just throw everything at him in this last round. This could be dramatic. 3 minutes left. Commonwealth welterweight title. It looked to be Scott Dixon's for the taking, but can he hold on now? Can Sullivan find another punch, preferably for him early in the round, to get Dixon wobbly again? He's got to stay on his bike here and out of trouble, Dixon. How clear is his head?
Well, it shows you how hard these fights are, with all the training, all the preparation, the hours in the gym. He's still really, really tired at the end of this fight.
Well, all that conditioning may pay for Scott Dixon here, because it might have meant that the minute was long enough for him to get his act back together again. The recovery time is often linked to how well prepared and how fit a fighter is. He's got the jab going again. But this might be a long 3 minutes for Scott Dixon. The corner must have said, look, it's in the bag, stay on your bike.
Well, he's got to use that lateral movement, make every use of the ring, but he's got to still keep using that jab, just not to let Sullivan get set.
Looks all right again, looks all right, Dixon, at this stage. Plenty of life in the legs. But Sullivan at last, after a lot of workmanlike effort, made a dent in that 11th round. But has that come too late for him? Well, he doesn't believe in doing things the easy way, does he, this Scott Dixon? He's got him with a right hand again. He's starting to get involved. Maybe foolishly, Dixon needs to keep it on the outside and on his bicycle here. That's the way.
Desperately tired. The hands have come down from Dixon. Sullivan trying to cut off the ring, get close enough to land his right.
He's a very gritty customer, this New Zealander. There are under 40 seconds remaining. We're sure that Dixon has a points lead. He's half a minute away, we reckon, from becoming Commonwealth welterweight champion, if Dave Parris is watching the same fight as Glenn and I. Sharp little left hook. No time to get macho here for Dixon. Got to use his boxing brain. He's done it quite well in this last round so far.
Sullivan still putting the pressure on Dixon. Dixon can't stay still.
But there's the final bell, and Scott Dixon is the Commonwealth welterweight champion. And just look what it means to him. A lifetime of boxing effort from the day he won his first amateur title as a 7-year-old. At the age of 23, he is a champion.
Well, he had to hang on in the last couple of rounds, but it was a good performance from Scott Dixon. Used his jab well in what was a tough fight. The brave New Zealander who pushed him all the way.
Swollen underneath the left eye. Damage. Look at them. Look at how many punches were thrown. Look, he was 3 off 1,000 punches thrown. Sullivan there. That's phenomenal, isn't it?
It really is, but look how many landed, just 201. That would have tired him an awful lot. Needed more accuracy.
And Dixon landing 239 of 600 for a 39% success rate. He is the Commonwealth welterweight champion. Congratulations to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing, referee Dave Paris has insisted you join him on congratulating both boxers on a very, very hard-fought contest indeed. So the scores are for Sullivan 114, for Dixon 150. The winner and the new Commonwealth welterweight champion from Hamilton in Scotland, Super Scott Dixon!
And it was only by 1 point, 6 rounds to 5 with 1 even. And we'll hear from Scott Dixon when you rejoin us right after this break.
But there wasn't much in it. A points winner against Sean Sullivan, but only just. Referee Dave Paris scoring it 6-5 with 1 even. Let's hear from the winner. He's with Adam Smith.
Good couple of weeks for Scotland and Commonwealth belts with Scott Harrison, and now yourself. Just rewards after your battle with Derek Roach.
Oh, a different class. That's another Derek Roach. I'm getting sick of these guys now. It's about time I got a mediocre opponent, I think.
I mean, it was another hard, exhausting battle, but this time you boxed him.
Yeah, that was the plan, as I told you, from start to finish. Box, box, box. Get caught near the end up there. And I thought, oh, here we go, but I've seen it before, and I've done it before, done it again. I've got the medal, and I'm a new Commonwealth champ. Karen, I'm coming home. 21st birthday party. Here I come, honey. Love you.
You seemed to us to build up the points behind your jab. What happened, though, in the 11th round? Did he hit a wall?
Yeah, I'd actually never seen the shot. It was just a glancing blow. My senses went, I thought, red alert, just keep moving, keep moving. Heard my granddad and Martin Bauer shouting, just move, just move.
All that fitness came in useful again, didn't it?
Yeah, of course it did. Yeah, I've got to do it, the House of Pain.
So what's now, a rest or a rematch with Roach? What do you reckon?
I'll have a little rest, and then, I mean, Derek, let's do it. I've got something to bring to the table, you've got something. Let's get on to see who the best welterweight is.
Fantastic, well done tonight, and enjoy it.
Thank you, appreciate it.